COBRA health insurance is health insurance that covers you when you retire from a job or when you lose your job and you had health insurance coverage with that job. COBRA insurance is a way that you can keep your existing health insurance so that you have coverage, and you can keep it up to 18 months.
Are you ready for a successful retirement? We're addressing the topics facing today's retirees. Welcome to Retire with Ryan. Now here's your host, Ryan Morrissey.
Welcome back. This is episode 97. And from talking with clients, I'm finding that people are still confused as to if they need to sign up for Medicare at age 65 if they or their spouses are still working. So in this episode, I'm going to talk more about that and cover 5 things that you need to consider when deciding to enroll. So generally, if you have job-based health insurance through your employer or your spouse's employer, and you're still working, you don't have to sign up for Medicare, or your spouse doesn't have to sign up for Medicare. You or your spouse can wait until you stop working or you lose your health insurance, whichever comes first. And this is generally the case if you work for a large company, and a large company is a company with 20 or more employees. And to confirm this, a good thing to do is to either check with your insurance provider to find out if your coverage is considered a group health plan as defined by the IRS, because then this would exempt you from enrolling in Medicare, or you can talk to coworkers or maybe reach out to your HR department to find out that answer. And this would be the same whether you were covered under the plan or your spouse was covered. So as long as your spouse is covered under your plan, then you or they can delay enrolling in Medicare until you retire or you lose your health insurance, as I said before, whichever comes first. So the second thing is that if you are self-employed or you have health insurance that's not available to everyone at that company, or you work for a company with less than 20 employees, then you must enroll in Medicare when you turn 65 to avoid the Part B late enrollment penalty. You definitely don't want to trigger the Part B late enrollment penalty, because once you are subject to this penalty, you have to pay it for the rest of your life. And it's really a way that Medicare gets people to enroll at 65, because Medicare is government-sponsored health insurance for people over 65, and the way that it works is that everyone is paying into it, everyone's forced to pay into it, and the way they do that by having this penalty out there that if you don't enroll. And very rarely do I meet people that miss enrolling. I'm sure it does happen, but you're going to get so much stuff in the mail, if you haven't already, when you turn 65 or get close to turning 65, regarding different Medicare plans, that it's usually pretty hard to miss that, but it does happen. Third thing to think about is whether you have COBRA health insurance and whether that would allow you to delay Medicare enrollment. So just as a reminder, COBRA health insurance is health insurance that covers you when you retire from a job or when you lose your job and you had health insurance coverage with that job. COBRA insurance is a way that you can keep your existing health insurance so that you have coverage, and you can keep it up to 18 months. So what a lot of people will do is they'll keep their COBRA health insurance, they'll keep their existing plan, and that could get you to age 65, help you bridge the gap. That is a strategy that some people will use. Or let's just say you're retiring halfway through the year, or you lose your job halfway through the year. You've already paid into your health insurance for the year. Maybe you already met your deductible. So you certainly wouldn't want to leave that plan, go out another plan where now you have to start a new deductible. So you'd probably want to keep that coverage in place, and then at the end of the year or towards the end of the year, then you could make a decision about what you wanted to do for your health insurance for the following year. But however, COBRA does not exempt you from enrolling in Medicare. So let's just say you're on COBRA insurance and now you're turning 65. You would need to enroll in Medicare. unless you went back to work or your spouse went back to work and you then got coverage through another health plan that covered 20 or more employees, you would have to enroll in Medicare, or those penalties would apply. So the fourth thing to consider is whether you should enroll in Part A. As a reminder, Medicare has two standard parts. Part A, which covers part of the cost of a hospital stay, and Part B, which covers part of preventative care. Now, Part A is free as long as you or your spouse has worked at least 10 years. Part B, you pay for. The minimum premium for Part B this year is $170. So most people will not voluntarily enroll in Part B because they don't want to be paying that monthly premium. But because Part A is free, the wisdom years ago was to enroll in Part A as soon as you turn 65, even if you're working past 65, so that you, in case you went to the hospital, you had coverage and it would help cover part of the out-of-pocket costs that might arise from a hospital stay. Well, the negative with doing that now, and I've talked about this in other podcasts, specifically the podcast that I released about a month ago, which is episode 91, How Does Medicare Enrollment Impact HSA Contributions? And as a reminder, you can find all and any links I mentioned in this show by going to retirewithryan.com or morsewealthmanagement.com/podcast/97. So once you enroll in Medicare Part A, if you're currently covered by a health savings account, you can now no longer contribute to that health savings account, and your employer can no longer contribute to that account. Additionally, you have to take out any contributions that you've made in the past 6 months. Now, I meet with a lot of people who are still not aware of this, who still are thinking that they should enroll in Part A, and some of them have even done so. And unfortunately, now there's a lost opportunity that you no longer can make this HSA contribution. As you get closer to retirement, one of the biggest deductions that you have available to you if you're covered by a health savings account is making those contributions to your health savings account. So as soon as you enroll in Part A, you automatically void your ability to do that. So if you or your spouse are working past 65 and you're participating in a health savings account, which many people are these days, you definitely don't want to enroll in Part A unless you're okay with giving up your ability to make these contributions. So you'd want to carefully consider whether or not you want to enroll in Part A. And for most people, it would probably make sense to wait to enroll in Part A when you enroll in Part B so that you're not losing this ability to make these HSA contributions. So the fifth thing is, what is the time frame to enroll in Medicare? And there's really two time frames that people have when enrolling in Medicare. The first time frame is if you don't have medical coverage when you reach 65 or coverage that exempts you from enrolling in Medicare, then you have what's known as the initial enrollment period. And this is a 7-month period. It starts 3 months before your birthday month. It includes your birthday month and ends 3 months after your birthday month. So if you don't enroll by the end of the 3rd month after your birthday month, then penalties would kick in. So you have that 7-month period. If you're working past 65 or your spouse is working past 65 and you're exempt from enrolling at Medicare when you turn 65, then you have now what's known as the special enrollment period, which ends 8 months after your employment ends. So again, if you don't enroll in Medicare during this 8-month period and you were supposed to, then the penalties on your Part B premiums are going to apply. Then if you miss either your initial enrollment period or special enrollment period, you also have to wait to enroll during the general enrollment period for Medicare Part A and B, which runs from January 1 until March 31st each year, but your coverage doesn't become effective until July 1st. So you definitely wouldn't want to let that occur. Additionally, I've talked about penalties on Part B. There's also penalties potentially for Medicare Part A. And then also if you are going to be participating in a Medicare Part D prescription drug plan, because you're going with a Medigap plan, there's a penalty could apply with that as well. So I hope this episode is helpful on whether or not you need to enroll in Medicare if you're working past 65. If you have a listener question that you'd like to have considered for a future episode, you can go to retirewithryan.com, click on the contact form, and then fill in your listener question. Have a great week, and I look forward to speaking with you next Wednesday. Take care.
You should consult a financial advisor familiar with your specific circumstances before you make any financial decisions. Nothing in this broadcast constitutes a solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities. Any mention of rates of return are historical or hypothetical in nature and are not a guarantee of future returns. Ryan Morrissey, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Morrissey Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.